The day began with the routine predictability that often characterizes a well-worn life, a life that I had once believed to be both stable and secure. I woke to the gentle hum of Lorraine bustling around the kitchen, preparing breakfast as she had done countless mornings before. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the scent of bacon and eggs, creating a comforting start to what I assumed would be another ordinary day. Jessica, our daughter, moved about in her usual morning haze, while my aging mother, Frances, shuffled in from her room, her slow but steady movements a testament to the years she had spent in our care. Together, this small slice of domestic tranquility seemed to encapsulate everything I thought I had built over the last 25 years. Yet, the veneer of this seemingly perfect morning was about to crack, revealing the stark reality beneath. The first sign of trouble was subtle, an incident so minor it barely registered as significant at the time. I was in the basement sorting through some old boxes in search of a tool I needed for a home project. It was a place Lorraine and I used for storage, a cluttered space filled with forgotten items and the occasional dust bunny. Among the detritus, I stumbled upon a basket of Lorraine's laundry that had been carelessly tossed aside. As I fished through the pile, my fingers brushed against a pair of her underwear. Nothing seemed particularly unusual at first glance, but when I held them up under a black light, a trick I had learned to check for cleanliness in our laundry, I was confronted with something deeply unsettling. The light revealed stains and marks that suggested more than a simple wardrobe malfunction. A cold shiver ran down my spine as an uneasy feeling began to take hold. My mind raced, grappling with the implications of this discovery. Could this be a sign of something more sinister, or was I merely overreacting? To gain clarity, I resolved to uncover the truth, and I decided to employ covert audio recording as my tool for investigation. I set up the recording device in areas where I suspected conversations might be revealing, hoping to catch Lorraine discussing matters that could confirm my growing suspicions. What I uncovered was beyond anything I had prepared for. The recordings were filled with intimate, incriminating conversations that left no room for doubt. The shock of hearing Lorraine's voice, coupled with the undeniable evidence of her betrayal, left me reeling. Driven by a mix of anguish and resolve, I embarked on a thorough investigation. I collected various forms of evidence, including DNA samples, meticulously documenting every step to ensure that there would be no ambiguity in my findings. Alongside this, I began to make strategic financial maneuvers to safeguard my assets. I converted significant portions of my wealth into gold and started planning how to redistribute my financial holdings. The task was fraught with emotional strain, but the urgency of the situation demanded that I act swiftly and decisively. Each move was calculated, designed to minimize the impact of the fallout, while positioning myself for what lay ahead. The moment of truth arrived with an emotional weight that felt almost unbearable. I confronted Lorraine with the evidence I had so painstakingly gathered. The confrontation marked by a raw intensity that shattered the illusion of our shared life. The look of disbelief on Lorraine's face as she came face to face with the truth was a potent mixture of devastation and resignation. Our marriage, once a pillar of my existence, began to crumble under the weight of betrayal. The fallout was immediate and tumultuous, leaving a trail of emotional wreckage in its wake. In the aftermath of this confrontation, the emotional landscape became a battleground of grief, anger, and disbelief. Explaining the situation to Jessica and Frances was a heart-wrenching process, each conversation laced with the painful reality of shattered trust and disrupted family dynamics. The impact of Lorraine's actions rippled through our lives, challenging our sense of normalcy and forcing us to confront a new, unsettling reality. As I navigated the financial and personal challenges that followed, moments of hope and healing emerged amidst the chaos. The journey toward recovery was arduous, fraught with moments of doubt and struggle. Yet amidst the ruins of the life I once knew, I began to forge a path forward, one that promised the possibility of renewal and the chance to rebuild. The process was slow, and the scars of betrayal remained a constant reminder of the past. But with each step, I moved closer to a future that, while uncertain, held the promise of eventual peace and redemption. Our life together had always been portrayed as the epitome of marital success and familial stability. Lorraine and I had devoted 25 years to building a life that many would envy, and every facet of our existence seemed to reflect the ideal of a harmonious, loving family. Our home, a spacious and lovingly maintained house, was a testament to our shared journey. Each room was decorated with care, filled with mementos of our life together. Family photos capturing milestones, holiday decorations that had become a cherished tradition, and cozy furniture that bore the marks of countless shared moments. The mornings began with a sense of predictable comfort. Lorraine's early risings were marked by the familiar sounds of her bustling about the kitchen, preparing breakfast with her usual enthusiasm. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee, mingled with the scent of bacon and eggs, filled the house and set a reassuring tone for the day. Lorraine's humming, a gentle and melodic accompaniment to her morning routine, was a symbol of the stability and warmth she brought into our lives. The routine was as comforting as it was unchanging, each day blending seamlessly into the next. Lorraine was undeniably the heart of our household. Her role extended beyond mere homemaking. She was the emotional center of our family. Her ability to manage the complexities of our home life, while balancing the needs of each family member, was nothing short of remarkable. Lorraine's dedication to our well-being was evident in every carefully prepared meal, every lovingly arranged family event, and every moment she spent ensuring that our lives ran smoothly. Her nurturing presence was a constant source of comfort and joy, and I had always marveled at her ability to juggle her responsibilities with such grace. Jessica, our daughter, was the living embodiment of the love and dreams Lorraine and I had shared. From her earliest years, filled with curiosity and laughter, to her transition into adulthood, Jessica had grown into a young woman who made us immensely proud. Each of her achievements, from academic successes to personal milestones, felt like a shared victory, a reflection of the support and guidance we had provided her. Her vibrant personality and energetic spirit brought a unique and irreplaceable joy into our home. Family gatherings where Jessica's laughter and enthusiasm filled the room were moments of pure happiness that underscored the strength of our familial bond. Frances, Lorraine's aging mother, had also been a central figure in our lives. Despite her advanced age and the physical limitations that came with it, her presence in our home was a cherished aspect of our daily routine. Frances's wisdom, honed over a lifetime of experiences, was a valuable resource for our family. Her gentle advice and thoughtful observations provided perspective and continuity. Caring for Frances had become a natural extension of our commitment to family, and I took great pride in the way we had integrated her into our lives, ensuring she felt respected and valued. As I went through the familiar motions of our daily lives, I was enveloped in a sense of contentment and stability. Lorraine's cheerful breakfast preparations, the shared moments of family life, and the quiet, reflective times with Jessica and Frances all contributed to a feeling of enduring security. Our home was more than just a physical space. It was a haven of shared experiences, a place where every detail spoke to the strength of our relationships and the love we had nurtured over the years. Yet beneath this veneer of domestic tranquility lay an undercurrent of tension that I had been oblivious to. The day began with the usual sense of normalcy, but as events unfolded, it became painfully clear that the stability I had taken for granted was an illusion. The discovery that would soon shake the very foundations of my world was hidden beneath the routine I had come to rely on. As the truth began to emerge, it shattered the image of a perfect life and forced me to confront a reality of betrayal that would forever alter our family dynamics. The journey from this moment of revelation to the aftermath of deception was a process fraught with emotional turmoil, confronting me with the profound impact of a truth I had never anticipated. The morning had unfolded in its usual fashion, characterized by the quiet hum of domesticity that had become so familiar over the years. Lorraine and I had settled into our weekend routine, a mix of relaxation and minor household tasks. I had planned to spend a few hours attending to some of the less glamorous aspects of home maintenance. This particular Saturday, my focus was the basement, a space that had gradually accumulated a variety of odds and ends over the years. It was a repository for things that didn't quite fit anywhere else in the house. Old furniture, outgrown toys, and boxes of sentimental trinkets. As I descended the stairs to the basement, the cool, musty air was a stark contrast to the warmth of the living areas above. The basement was a sprawling area with several sections, each holding its own collection of forgotten items. The room was dimly lit, with only a few flickering bulbs casting a weak light on the cluttered space. I navigated around the various boxes and furniture, my mind occupied with the task at hand. In one corner of the basement, I spotted a basket that had clearly seen better days. It was an ordinary laundry basket, but it had been left in a state of disarray. As I approached, I noticed it contained a mix of items that clearly belonged to Lorraine, clothing that had been set aside for washing. This wasn't unusual. Lorraine often sorted laundry in the basement before taking it to the washing machine. However, there was something distinctly off about this particular basket. It looked unusually neglected, the clothes haphazardly thrown in rather than neatly folded or organized. Curiosity and a sense of routine led me to dig through the contents of the basket. I encountered a familiar array of garments, t-shirts, socks, and then, unexpectedly, a pair of Lorraine's underwear. At first glance, this was nothing out of the ordinary. Finding personal items in the basement was not uncommon. But as I continued to sift through the basket, a growing unease began to settle in. The state of the underwear seemed peculiar. It was not merely the typical accumulation of dust that you might expect from clothes stored in such a place. It was the condition of the fabric and the appearance of the stains that caught my attention. Driven by an uneasy feeling, I decided to investigate further. I had a black light in the basement, a tool I had occasionally used to check for cleanliness and stains on various surfaces. I retrieved the light, its beam piercing the darkness of the basement, and began to inspect the garments more closely. As the black light illuminated the fabric, the transformation was both startling and horrifying. The underwear, which had previously seemed innocuous, now revealed a disturbing array of stains and marks. Under the harsh glow of the black light, the garments appeared to be tainted by evidence that went beyond mere wear and tear. The sight was disconcerting. The stains, which glowed vividly under the black light, were inconsistent with any normal use of the clothing. They suggested something far more troubling, something that was not merely the result of everyday life. The garments seemed to be hiding a secret, one that challenged the very notion of the perfect life I had always believed we shared. In that moment, my mind raced with questions and fears. What could these stains signify? Could they be evidence of something deeply unsettling? Or was there another explanation I hadn't considered? My initial shock gave way to a determined resolve. I knew I needed to investigate further, to gather more evidence, and to understand the full extent of what I had discovered. The basement, once a mundane part of our home, had become the epicenter of a discovery that threatened to unravel the carefully constructed facade of our life together. The sense of dread that accompanied this realization was overwhelming. The very space that had once been a place of minor household tasks now seemed to harbor a hidden truth. The basement mishap had triggered a chain of events that would lead me to confront the reality of our situation, a reality that I had been desperately trying to ignore. The discovery was more than just a clue. It was the catalyst that set in motion a journey into the depths of betrayal and deception. The ordinary routine of our lives had been shattered, replaced by the daunting task of unraveling the truth behind the disturbing evidence I had uncovered. After the unsettling discovery in the basement, a wave of unease settled over me. The peculiar stains on Lorraine's underwear, illuminated by the black light, had ignited a gnawing suspicion that I couldn't ignore. The apparent evidence suggested something profoundly disturbing, but the full scope of the truth remained elusive. I needed more than just conjecture. I needed concrete proof to confront Lorraine with the reality of what I had found. My next step was to find a way to confirm my suspicions definitively. I decided to set up a covert audio recording device. It seemed like the most prudent method to gather unfiltered evidence, capturing conversations and interactions that might reveal hidden truths. Lorraine's daily routines and interactions had always been an open book to me, yet now every mundane detail felt suspect. I needed to know what was happening behind closed doors, what conversations were taking place when I wasn't around to witness them. Finding a suitable location for the recording device required careful thought. I wanted it to be discreet, blending seamlessly into the environment so as not to alert Lorraine to its presence. After some deliberation, I chose the master bedroom, specifically the space behind the dresser where Lorraine kept her personal items. It was an area I knew well, and it provided the perfect cover for the small, inconspicuous device I had purchased. The audio recorder was compact, designed to look like a regular household item, and it could capture high-quality sound over a substantial distance. The installation process was meticulous. I positioned the device with precision, ensuring it was well hidden yet capable of capturing clear audio. Once it was in place, I activated the recorder and left it to do its job. The anticipation was nerve-wracking. Every day, I anxiously awaited the recordings, hoping to find some clue, some snippet of conversation that would either confirm my worst fears or absolve Lorraine of any wrongdoing. The initial days were filled with tension and unease as I reviewed the recordings. The sounds of our daily routines, the mundane chatter about chores, the discussions about Jessica's school events, and the ordinary exchanges of affection seemed to reinforce the normalcy I had come to expect. But as I delved deeper into the recordings, patterns began to emerge that piqued my suspicions further. One evening, while reviewing a particularly lengthy recording, I heard something that made my heart skip a beat. The conversation that unfolded was not between Lorraine and me, but between Lorraine and an unfamiliar voice, one I didn't recognize. The tone was intimate, almost flirtatious. The content of the conversation revealed a level of familiarity and affection that was deeply unsettling. The words exchanged were laden with innuendos and personal anecdotes that suggested a relationship far beyond mere friendship. The realization was both shocking and devastating. The recordings captured more than just casual conversations. They unveiled a hidden dimension of Lorraine's life that I had been unaware of. The nature of the dialogue between Lorraine and this other individual was indicative of an affair, an emotional and possibly physical relationship that had been kept hidden from me. The evidence was undeniable, and it painted a picture of betrayal that was both painful and disorienting. Listening to the recordings was a harrowing experience. Each word and inflection seemed to pierce through the facade of our life together, laying bare the reality of Lorraine's infidelity. The evidence was conclusive, but it also brought with it a flood of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion, and a profound sense of loss. The trust that I had placed in Lorraine and the life we had built together seemed to crumble with each revealing conversation. The recordings had provided me with the proof I needed, but they also left me with a complex array of feelings and decisions to confront. I knew that the next step involved not just confronting Lorraine with the evidence, but also navigating the emotional and practical implications of what lay ahead. The audio recordings had not only unveiled the truth, but also set the stage for a confrontation that would test the very foundation of our relationship. As I prepared to face Lorraine with the reality of her affair, I was acutely aware of the emotional weight of the situation and the uncertain path that lay before us. In the aftermath of discovering the damning evidence in the basement and the shocking revelations captured by the covert audio recordings, I knew that I had to proceed with caution. The gravity of Lorraine's betrayal was beginning to sink in, and I felt an urgent need to substantiate my suspicions with irrefutable proof. The emotional turmoil of the situation was overwhelming, but the necessity of confirming the truth with solid evidence became paramount. I decided to escalate my investigation by collecting DNA samples, a step that would provide definitive confirmation of Lorraine's infidelity. The process of gathering evidence was fraught with challenges. I began by meticulously documenting every detail related to the affair. This included making notes of the dates and times of the suspicious recordings and any other relevant observations. My aim was to build a comprehensive picture of the situation, creating a timeline that would support the evidence I was about to gather. I started by focusing on the items that Lorraine had come into contact with. My first target was the bed linens in our master bedroom. I carefully removed the sheets, pillowcases, and any other relevant fabric. The idea was to check for any traces of DNA that could belong to someone other than me. The process was methodical. I took care to avoid contaminating the samples by using gloves and placing each item in a separate, sealed container. Every step was performed with the utmost precision to ensure the integrity of the evidence. Next, I turned my attention to other potential sources of DNA. This included items Lorraine frequently used or came into contact with: personal grooming products, clothing, and even traces of her lipstick. I was particularly focused on any items that might reveal the presence of another person's DNA. The need for thoroughness was critical, as this evidence would serve as the foundation for any subsequent actions. Once the samples were collected, I sought the assistance of a professional forensic laboratory. I was acutely aware of the importance of ensuring that the testing was conducted with the highest standards of accuracy and reliability. I delivered the samples to the lab with detailed instructions and a clear explanation of the context in which they had been collected. The anticipation of the results was nerve-wracking. Each day that passed felt like an eternity, as I awaited confirmation of the truth. During this period of waiting, I took additional steps to plan my next moves carefully. I began to consider the practical implications of confronting Lorraine with the evidence. It was clear that I needed to approach the situation with a strategy, both to minimize the emotional fallout and to ensure that my position was secure. This included evaluating our financial situation and considering the potential impact on our family, particularly on Jessica and Francis. I took measures to secure my assets, ensuring that I had a clear understanding of our financial standing and planning for any necessary adjustments. This involved consulting with a financial advisor to explore options for protecting my interests and preparing for potential legal proceedings. The process was meticulous, involving the conversion of some of our assets into more stable forms, such as gold, to safeguard against any potential disputes. As I prepared for the confrontation, I also sought legal advice to understand my rights and options. It was important to approach the situation with a clear plan, both to address the personal and legal aspects of the impending confrontation. The emotional weight of the situation was heavy, but the necessity of having a structured approach provided a semblance of control in the midst of the chaos. Finally, the day came when I received the results from the forensic lab. The confirmation of the presence of another person's DNA on the items I had collected was a sobering moment. It was a definitive validation of the betrayal I had suspected, but it also brought a new level of complexity to the situation. Armed with this undeniable evidence, I was now prepared to confront Lorraine and address the reality of her infidelity. The investigation had reached its conclusion, but the journey ahead was fraught with emotional and practical challenges. As the reality of Lorraine's betrayal sank in, I knew that confronting her would be only the beginning of a tumultuous journey. The emotional impact of the affair was profound, but there were also practical considerations that needed to be addressed. Chief among these was the financial aspect of the situation. The integrity of my financial security was crucial, not only for my own stability, but also to ensure that I was prepared for any potential disputes or legal battles that might arise from the confrontation. Thus, I embarked on a careful and strategic process to secure my assets and protect my financial interests. The first step in this process was to conduct a thorough assessment of our financial situation. I meticulously reviewed our joint accounts, investments, and assets to gain a clear understanding of our financial standing. This involved examining bank statements, investment portfolios, and real estate holdings, as well as evaluating any debts or liabilities we might have. The goal was to create a comprehensive picture of our finances that would enable me to make informed decisions about how best to protect my assets. Once I had a clear understanding of our financial situation, I began to explore ways to safeguard my interests. One of the primary strategies I employed was converting a significant portion of our liquid assets into gold. The rationale behind this decision was twofold. First, gold is a stable and secure asset that can provide protection against market volatility and economic uncertainty. Second, It is more challenging to dispute or manipulate compared to cash or other investments, making it a prudent choice for protecting my wealth. The process of converting money into gold was carefully planned. I consulted with financial advisors who specialized in precious metals to ensure that I was making sound decisions. We discussed the best methods for purchasing and storing gold, taking into account factors such as purity, security, and potential tax implications. I decided to invest in a combination of gold bullion and coins, which offered both liquidity and stability. Each transaction was executed with precision, and I took care to document every step to maintain a clear record of my actions. In addition to converting assets into gold, I began to consider the implications of giving away a portion of my wealth. This decision was driven by a desire to simplify the process of dividing our assets and to minimize potential disputes. I evaluated the potential recipients of these gifts, focusing on individuals or organizations that could benefit from the wealth in a meaningful way. This included family members, charitable organizations, and other causes that were important to me. The process of giving away assets required careful planning to ensure that it was executed in a way that would not raise any red flags. I sought legal advice to understand the best methods for transferring wealth while adhering to legal and tax regulations. This involved setting up trusts or making direct transfers, depending on the nature of the assets and the intended recipients. Each transaction was carefully documented, and I made sure to maintain records of all correspondence and legal paperwork. Throughout this period, I was also mindful of the need to protect my financial interest from any potential claims or disputes. I worked with a legal team to draft a comprehensive plan that addressed the division of assets in the event of a divorce or separation. This plan included strategies for protecting my investments and ensuring that any financial settlements were fair and equitable. As the time for confronting Lorraine approached, I felt a sense of cautious readiness. The process of securing my assets and planning for potential financial challenges had provided me with a degree of control in a situation that was otherwise fraught with uncertainty. I was prepared to address not only the emotional fallout of the confrontation, but also the practical aspects of protecting my financial future. The financial maneuvering was a critical component of my strategy, designed to ensure that I was well positioned to navigate the challenges ahead. It was a necessary step in a complex and emotional journey, one that required both careful planning and decisive action. As I prepared to face Lorraine with the full extent of the evidence and the implications of her betrayal, I knew that my financial stability was a crucial factor in securing my future and moving forward with confidence. After weeks of meticulous preparation and strategic planning, the moment of revelation finally arrived. The evidence I had painstakingly gathered, ranging from the unsettling discoveries in the basement to the damning audio recordings and the irrefutable DNA test results, had reached a point where no further delays were possible. The truth about Lorraine's affair was no longer a matter of suspicion. It was a concrete reality, backed by undeniable proof. With a heavy heart and a mind brimming with the gravity of the situation, I prepared to confront Lorraine and expose the full extent of her betrayal. The confrontation was meticulously planned to ensure that the truth was delivered with clarity and impact. I chose a time when we would be alone, away from the distractions of daily life, so that we could have a private and uninterrupted discussion. The setting was our living room, an area of our home that had been the backdrop to many of our shared moments and conversations. It seemed fitting to use this space for such a pivotal moment, as it symbolized the stark contrast between the life we had built and the reality that was about to unravel. Before the confrontation, I gathered all the evidence in a clear and organized manner. I prepared a presentation that included excerpts from the audio recordings, the results of the DNA tests, and a detailed account of the suspicious findings from the basement. Each piece of evidence was carefully selected to illustrate the breadth and depth of Lorraine's infidelity. The goal was not just to present the facts, but to ensure that Lorraine understood the full scope of her actions and their impact on our relationship. As Lorraine entered the room, I could sense her initial confusion and apprehension. The atmosphere was charged with an unspoken tension as I began to lay out the evidence. I started with a calm and measured tone, attempting to maintain composure despite the storm of emotions raging inside me. I explained the discovery of the items in the basement, highlighting the suspicious stains and their implications. Lorraine's reaction was one of shock and disbelief, but I continued, presenting the audio recordings with their intimate conversations and affectionate exchanges. Each revelation seemed to hit harder than the last, with Lorraine's initial defenses giving way to visible signs of distress. The turning point came when I revealed the DNA test results. I presented the findings with a sense of finality, showing that the evidence of another person's DNA was conclusive. The weight of this information seemed to crush any remaining illusions of innocence. Lorraine's reaction was a mixture of guilt and resignation. She struggled to respond, her attempts to explain or justify her actions falling short in the face of the overwhelming evidence. The confrontation was intense and emotionally charged. Lorraine's initial reactions ranged from defensive denials to tearful admissions. The conversation evolved into a raw and painful exchange of emotions. Lorraine expressed regret and attempted to explain her actions, but the depth of her betrayal left little room for reconciliation in that moment. The emotional weight of the situation was palpable, as both of us grappled with the enormity of what had transpired. The fallout from the confrontation was immediate and profound. Lorraine's admission of guilt was accompanied by a flood of emotions: anger, sadness, and a profound sense of loss. The unraveling of our marriage was not just about the breach of trust. It was about the disintegration of a shared life, filled with memories and aspirations. The confrontation marked the beginning of a new phase in our lives, one defined by the painful process of separating our lives and coming to terms with the consequences of Lorraine's actions. In the days following the confrontation, the reality of our situation set in. The emotional and practical challenges of navigating the fallout became evident. Lorraine and I had to address the immediate issues, discussing the future of our relationship, making arrangements for separation, and considering the impact on our daughter Jessica and my aging mother Frances. The process was fraught with difficulty, but it was necessary to move forward and begin the process of healing and rebuilding. Revealing the truth was a pivotal moment in our lives, one that altered the course of our relationship and set in motion a series of changes and adjustments. It was a step toward addressing the betrayal and beginning the journey of coming to terms with the new reality of our lives. The confrontation, while painful and challenging, was an essential part of the process of moving forward and finding a path to resolution and healing. The emotional aftermath of the confrontation with Lorraine was a whirlwind of pain and complexity. The truth had been laid bare, and the life we had once known was irrevocably altered. The initial moments following the revelation were characterized by raw and intense emotions. Lorraine and I were engulfed in a maelstrom of grief, anger, and disbelief. The trust that had once been the bedrock of our relationship had been shattered, leaving us to grapple with the weight of betrayal. Lorraine's admission of infidelity was a crushing blow. The realization that the person I had trusted and loved had been unfaithful was both disorienting and devastating. The emotional impact of the betrayal was profound, as it challenged the very foundation of our shared history. The conversations that followed were fraught with tension and heartache. Lorraine's attempts to explain her actions were met with a mix of anger and sorrow. Each word spoken seemed to underscore the depth of the betrayal, making it difficult to find any solace or understanding. The impact on our family was equally profound. Jessica, our daughter, was a central concern. She had always been a source of joy and pride for both Lorraine and me, and the thought of her being caught in the crossfire of our unraveling marriage was heart-wrenching. We made a concerted effort to shield her from the full extent of the turmoil, but the emotional strain was evident. The conversations with Jessica were carefully managed, focusing on providing her with reassurance and support during this challenging time. My aging mother, Frances, also felt the ripple effects of the betrayal. She had been a pillar of strength and support throughout our marriage, and the news of the affair was a blow to her as well. The emotional toll on her was significant, and I felt a deep sense of responsibility to support her through this difficult period. Our family gatherings, once a source of comfort and unity, now felt tinged with sadness and tension. As I navigated the emotional aftermath, I found myself reflecting on the nature of trust and the impact of betrayal. The journey of coming to terms with the reality of Lorraine's actions was one of profound introspection. I grappled with feelings of inadequacy and questions about what had led to the breakdown of our relationship. The process of healing was slow and arduous, requiring me to confront not only the betrayal, but also my own role in the dynamics of our marriage. In the wake of the confrontation and the emotional upheaval, the practical consequences of the situation began to unfold. Navigating the aftermath involved addressing a range of financial and personal challenges. The process of separation and the division of assets required careful consideration and negotiation. The financial aspects of the situation were complex. The steps I had taken to secure my assets, including converting money into gold and planning for potential legal disputes, provided a measure of protection. However, the process of dividing our financial resources and managing the implications of the separation involved considerable effort. Legal consultations and negotiations became a regular part of my routine as I worked to ensure a fair and equitable resolution. The impact on our financial stability was significant. While the strategic measures I had taken helped mitigate some of the risks, the emotional and practical aspects of the separation took a toll. Managing the logistics of separating our finances, addressing legal concerns, and making necessary adjustments to our financial plans required careful attention and resilience. Amidst the turmoil, there were moments of hope and healing. The process of navigating the aftermath also provided opportunities for personal growth and reflection. I found solace in focusing on self-care and reconnecting with my own aspirations and goals. The support of friends and family played a crucial role in helping me through this period, offering encouragement and perspective as I worked to rebuild my life. As time passed, I began to find a sense of stability and renewed purpose. The journey through the emotional and practical challenges was ongoing, but it was marked by moments of clarity and hope. The process of moving forward involved not only addressing the immediate consequences of the betrayal, but also embracing the possibility of new beginnings. The road to healing was paved with a mix of resilience and acceptance. While the pain of the betrayal remained a part of my journey, it was accompanied by a growing sense of empowerment and optimism. The experience of facing the consequences of Lorraine's actions was a testament to my ability to navigate adversity and find a path to healing amidst the challenges.